I'm so excited because essentially this is just all of my favorite things combined. Books, fall, magic, readathons. I mean popcorn, caramel popcorn. How much better could it get? Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. My name is Maya if you're new, and if you're not new, welcome back. Today's video is really just an announcement for a readathon that I will be hosting in the month of October. That is the Night Circus Readathon. If you're unfamiliar with the novel The Night Circus, it is by Erin Morgenstern and it was written for NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, and that takes place in November. It went on to become a very popular, dare I say, best-selling novel for Morgenstern, and rightfully so. Though the characters in The Night Circus are not necessarily my cup of tea, I absolutely love both the premise and the setting. Essentially, The Night Circus is a circus that travels by night. It shows up in a town randomly without any notice whatsoever, and it's only open from dusk until dawn. Its attractions are one of a kind and incredibly magical, but they might just be more than magical. They might actually have a bit of magic in them. Apart from the fact that it takes place at a magical circus, which is awesome already, this book takes place in the autumn. It has a really autumnal, cozy fall feeling to it. So I thought it would be kind of a perfect book or theme to build a readathon around. This readathon will be taking place from Monday the 12th of October to the Sunday, so I think that's the 18th. Though there are 11 prompts for this readathon, you can pick and choose which ones you would like to follow, because essentially this readathon follows a map of the Night Circus, which I made, and it was so much fun, let me tell you. There will be a link below if you would like to print out your own copy, which has not only the map of the Night Circus, but also a key for what the prompts are and the tents they correspond to. That is right, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, the prompts do correspond with specific attractions or tents at the Night Circus. Our first prompt starts off with the ticket booth, which is how you enter the Night Circus in the first place. I was trying to think of like a special way to describe the ticket booth, but really I'm assuming it's just a ticket booth with tickets and a person that takes your money to give you a ticket. So yeah, the prompt for the ticket booth is to read a book that has a hidden or magical entrance. You can interpret this probably in many ways, so whichever you choose is perfectly fine, but what I really think of here would probably be the wardrobe in the Chronicles of Narnia. It seems pretty ordinary and normal, but really it can lead you to a magical world, just like how a ticket booth is pretty normal for any attraction, but the Night Circus is no ordinary attraction. Our second prompt corresponds with the tent, the Ice Garden. The Ice Garden plays kind of a central role in the story, as it is the place where our two main characters connect really deeply and develop romantic feelings for one another. I still think the romance in that book was pretty shitty, but that aside, here is a description of the Ice Garden. The Ice Garden is an interior magical garden. It seems really large, larger than it is, and walking through it feels kind of like a dreamscape. Our prompt is to read a romance. Whatever romance you want. You can read like a light and fluffy romance, you can read a not so light and fluffy romance. I encourage you to try out some LGBTQ plus romances for this prompt, anything that floats your boat. Our third stop in the Night Circus is the Pavilion of Memories. The Pavilion of Memories, when you walk into it, it's really dark, but it's filled with jars. And these jars are actually magical and they're scented and they invoke the idea of idyllic memories. So you might open one jar and smell your grandma's homemade cookies. Or you might open another jar and remember a day that you went to the pool with your friends and then made s'mores over a bonfire. That is literally the most American summer event that I could possibly describe. Essentially, the Pavilion of Memories is really meant to create this feeling of nostalgia and just love for the past and respect for what you've gone through in your experiences. For this reason, the corresponding reading prompt for the Pavilion of Memories is to read a childhood favorite. I don't know what I'm gonna pick for this one. I am going to have a TBR video for the readathon coming out probably early October, but I think I might read Trumpet of the Swan by E.B. White. I adored that book when I was younger. One of the most important places in the Night Circus is the central cauldron, which burns with this blinding white flame. It is essentially the heart and soul of the Night Circus and what bonds our two main characters to it. Because there's a fire and fires are warm, my prompt for this one is to read a book with a hot drink. The beverage can be of your choice. You can do tea, you can do coffee, you can do what other hot drinks? Hot chocolate, apple cider. The possibilities are endless. If hot drinks aren't up your alley, that's okay. I guess you can just have a cold drink, because white I associate with snow, and snow is cold, so yeah, that's valid. Our next attraction at the Night Circus is the Stargazer, and this is the only attraction at the Night Circus that's not magical. It's a mundane roller coaster, but it's special in that it goes really, really high up, and when you get to the top, you can just look at the stars, and if you have magical abilities, as many of the performers in the circus do, you might just be able to read the future. Because I've always been so enchanted with the idea that even though people are spread over all around the world, when it's nighttime and you look up, we all see the same moon and the same stars. With that logic, the prompt for this attraction is to read a book set in another country or that takes place in or explores another culture. Reading diverse books is really important to me because I feel that it has the power to promote empathy, and I thought that the Stargazer attraction would be a really great opportunity to encourage people to read outside of their own experiences, outside of their own comfort zone, and realize that characters that are seemingly very different from them in their lived experience have a shared humanity. Our sixth prompt follows the attraction of the Contortionist. At the Night Circus, there is a contortionist named Tsukiko, and she is incredible. In fact, a lot of her feats seem impossible, and that is because she is magic. Tsukiko is incredibly flexible, and she performs on a platform kind of in a central area of the Night Circus. Because she is so bendy, the corresponding prompt for the Contortionist attraction is to read a genre-bending book. This is another one that I think is pretty up to interpretation, but to me that means a book that either falls into one or more genres, or a book that intentionally combines genres and twists them. An example of this that's actually not a book but a movie would be Knives Out. Despite the fact that it is meant to be inspired by like an Agatha Christie murder mystery, it also has some Hitchcock references, and it's also a family-friendly and fun movie. Some book ideas could be something that's romance infused with apocalypses. You could also read a Haruki Murakami book, which is typically involving realistic fiction infused with magical realism. Our seventh attraction at the Night Circus is the Fortune Teller's Booth. Within the Night Circus, the fortune teller uses both palm reading and tarot cards to help her audience and her customers understand parts of their future. She's pretty vague, not very specific, but it's still fun nonetheless. I feel like a lot of readers have books on their shelves that they haven't gotten around to yet, but know deep down or predict that they will love. So the prompt for the Fortune Teller's Booth is to read a book that you predict will be 5 stars. Will your prediction come true, or will it prove false? Only time, and your Goodreads review will tell. After the Fortune Teller's Booth, we are going to move to the Carousel. In the Night Circus, the Carousel is composed of carved animals that are typically fantastical, such as basilisks, griffins, dragons, etc., and they're hanging from these beautifully twisted silken ropes. You start off the carousel by traveling through a maze of silver clockwork, but then the experience moves you through a soft cloud under a bright moon. It's very magical and fantastical. For the carousel prompt, I invite you to read a book about nature. It can be just something that is appreciating nature, such as Mary Oliver poems or The Hidden Life of Trees. It can be more non-fiction geared, or it can actually have to do with environmental protection and security, because that's a huge issue in the world right now. This is the only prompt in the Night Circus Readathon that's specifically geared towards nonfiction, though it doesn't have to be, but I would highly encourage you to pick up a nonfiction book here. Nonfiction can be fun too. Our third to last and ninth attraction is the Pool of Tears, which is actually my favorite attraction possibly in the Night Circus. When you walk into the Pool of Tears, you pick up a stone, and this stone represents your struggles and your hardships. When you reach the pool within the tent, you drop your stone into it to kind of release a sorrow. The Pool of Tears is filled with shimmering lights, a soft radiance, and beautiful reflections. The rock that you drop in will obviously be very personal to you, but it can range from a variety of things, such as really quiet, melancholic disappointments, to long-lost loves, to pain, to suffering, to desolate loneliness. Really, whatever that rock represents to you, the Pool of Tears is meant to give the customer the opportunity to leave that burden behind. The prompt for the Pool of Tears is to read a book that you think will make you emotional. This can either be a book that you've heard is very emotional, a book you just think looks emotional, maybe based on the cover or the summary, or a book you've read before that really touched you in some way. For this prompt, I will likely be rereading A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. That book destroyed me. I do agree with a lot of critics that say that it is torture porn, but I also just adore the deep friendships in that book. I'll likely vlog my experience with that book in particular because I think it's just incredibly impactful. 10 out of 11 is the Illusionist's booth at the Night Circus. This is probably the most popular attraction and the one most valid to the plotline of the Night Circus, as one of our main characters, Celia, is the illusionist. But dun dun dun! Her illusions are not illusions. They're real. They're magic. You're trapped in her tent for about 15 minutes and you're just experiencing these wonderful and fantastic things that could not possibly be but somehow are, which is just an incredible idea in my opinion, and one that really makes me think of just imagination and the sheer power it has. The prompt for the Illusionist's tent is to read a fantasy novel. You can read YA, you can read high fantasy, you can read low fantasy, magic systems can be involved, they cannot be involved. Really anything that you want that really qualifies as fantasy, and for me, what qualifies as fantasy is just something that I could dream up, something I could imagine, and that in the book comes to life, which is incredible. It can be something supernatural or magical, like dragons or ghosts, or it can be just like a fantastical dream that you've had. For example, I feel like a lot of Disney princess movies are fantasy, even if they're grounded in reality, because they're just a fantastical, whimsical story that just makes you feel happy at the end. The fantasy book you choose doesn't have to make you happy at the end, but it should envelop you into a whole new world. Finally, our 11th prompt. We have the concession stands at the Night Circus. I have 4 of them on my map here because I'm just assuming they'll be mobbed at all times and people want their food as fast as they can get it. The food in the Night Circus is exquisitely described in Morgenstern's book. From caramel popcorn to the smell of roasting chestnuts to hot chocolate to apple cider to dumplings, you can really pick up any delicious fall-themed or cozy treat or food in these concession booths. My favorite would probably be a caramel apple, but there's no telling. The corresponding prompt for the concession stands is to read an autumnal book, whatever that means to you. Just a book that puts you in a cozy state of mind, a book that makes you feel like summer is coming to a close and you're winding down. Just a relaxing, fun read. For this prompt, I will actually also be cooking for foods for the concession stands. That'll be something you can see in my vlog when the Night Circus Readathon actually comes around. We might just make caramel apples together. I've never done that and it sounds fabulous. Those are all of the prompts for the Night Circus. Please remember, you do not have to do all of them if you choose to join me on this fun adventure, because the Night Circus, as you can see, is connected by a winding maze of pathways. You can go from one booth to any that you choose. I would recommend, however, that you start with the ticket booth because you need a ticket to get in. I will have down below in the description box both a link to print out a copy of this map for yourself. The prompts will be typed out in the description box. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, the readathon will be from the 12th to the 18th of October. I'll have updates as we get closer, including a TBR and then an eventual vlog. Yeah, be safe. I will see you later. Bye.